All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll get things rolling here. Give it a couple minutes. Sorry, I think I'm losing my voice a little bit. See what happens. Talking too much. Need to let everybody else talk more. So I'm going to roll through my stuff. Then we'll go with the two panels. We'll go with the panel with the grain guys and ag guys after I talk. Then we'll roll with the investment panel, some of the crypto guys and some of those things. And we'll close out the conference and everybody will have a hopefully safe trip home and do this bad boy again next year. So my wife and I can't wait. No, it's been good. We were excited to get back to some normalcy. So like I said, I appreciate everyone. I usually open the conference every year. What did I learn? What were my thoughts? People were like, what the hell did he hear? So I had to make the little parody joke, Deep Thoughts by KVT. Not so deep, maybe. We'll whiz through them. I'll go pretty quick. So I don't know. Some of them really changed my investment ideas in my way we invested our money. I always tell everyone, Jordan always called and asked me when he first went to college, Dad, what should I get my degree in? Now, understand, jock kid, small town like myself. I said, get a degree in English. He said, you lost your mind? Dad, have you lost your mind? And I said, no. I said, I think that's your weakness. I said, when I got out in the real world, out of my small rural town into Chicago, boy, I'll tell you what, you can tell a real difference in people that are highly educated in their English background, in a lot of the really important books that were written throughout time. And I've met a lot of my best lawyers that I always had to pay all the money to. So what the hell was your degree in? History, English. I meet some of the best traders. What was your degree? Oh, history, English. So I hit Jordan with that one. Boy, he's like, Dad, seriously. He's like, I'm in classes with a bunch of guys wearing sweater vests and smoking pipes. And I said, you're nuts. But he got through it, and he said, what could you do if you do it different? What would you be? What would you do different? I said, shit. I'd be my friend Andy Daniels. I said, professional trader and investor. Guy belongs a lot, plays a lot of golf, does a lot of hunting, a lot of fishing, got a good lifestyle. And he's like, really? I said, no, I know a lot of other guys like him. Met a lot of them in Chicago. I said, you know, you got to be well-versed. You're going to have to be able to, I remember when I worked for Andy when I was younger. He always wanted me to write things. Remember that, Daddy? He's like, you got to learn to write better. I said, listen, you wanted someone to write, you hired the wrong guy. Look what I'm doing now, writing. I'm like, there's no way this is possible. I wrote him a big, long email. You got the wrong cat. I'm checking her in. I'm going back home to Peculiar, Missouri, in downtown Chicago. He's like, you lost your mind, kid? I was probably 25. He's like, you got to learn to write better. You got to learn to write better business plans, better business pro. I said, man, that's not my deal. I can't do that. But I had to learn and figure it out. So a lot of good wisdom come from all that. So Jordan, he said, you know, he wants to go on a venture to be an investor. Oh, he's already gotten scraped up, skinned up, knocked down, beat up. But he's learning. So we go through stuff all the time. And we're on a lot of calls. On that last panel, a few of the guys Jordan's met, crypto guys, NFT guys, metaverse people, you know, things that I don't even know what the hell they're even talking about half the time. But I'm listening, trying to learn, unlearn, relearn. So these are just thoughts and things we've had whiz through. First one, what really happened to rural America? Soren, lots of us have had this talk a lot of times. My daughter calls me up from Columbia. She said, Dad, I think I figured out your question. I said, what? She's like, you know, what happened to your town? What happened to all the small towns you go to? So what do you mean? She's like, well, everything's changed with the cars. She's like, cars used to not be able to go very far, Dad. She's an architect. They're redesigning all in New York. They're going back to green space. The architects are mad about where they've dumped a lot of the off-ramps and on-ramps and how superhighways. Didn't have to have superhighways. Remember, you had to get off and get gas. Had to go through the small town. Had a lot of jobs. Had little restaurants. You can go 100 miles, 500 miles. My diesel, my F-250, I switched over from GMC to an F-250 this year. I liked it. And power stroke, but you can go 500 miles, 600 miles. I don't know. It changed rural America. I'm telling you, the super highways, you just go past it all. No one stops at our hometown anymore. Nobody gets off. They just keep on trucking. And I think it's a change, a game changer. I don't know, electric vehicles, maybe them having to stop to charge, maybe shorter duration early on, maybe that does something. UTVs come back a little bit. Licensed up UTVs, seeing some small town resurgence from UTVs. I don't know, but it's interesting to think about all the dynamics that shifted and changed around what happened with the automobile. Similar to what we're seeing this, like I said, that 100-year transition, early 1900s automobile. Development of the automobile in the 20th century, first 50 years, all about developing the perfect car. Let's go back. First 50 years were all about developing and perfecting the form, factor, and efficient manufacturing of the car. That's the first 50. Next 50 years, society redesigns itself based on personal mobility, housing patterns, retail, dining out, the whole 9 yards. All changed around that second half, that last 50 years of the automobile. It's decimated rural America. It's like a lot of people say. I was in a meeting or conference, the guy was talking about, oh man, crime has really plummeted, in the last 25, 30 years. Oh man, it's just a lot better job of police force, a lot better job of this and that. No, they attribute a lot of it to birth control. Birth control in the urban areas. Pill wasn't around, wasn't here. There wasn't that type of birth control 30 years ago. So maybe it isn't better policing, maybe it isn't better people. I guess birth control has taken down the crime rate. I've heard that analysis. I wonder if the automobile and the development and the distance we can travel, we want to think drugs tore up rural America. Maybe not. Maybe the automobile, just being able to go further, farther, faster. It's just weird to think about. And how that's about ready to change and flip-flop all again. I don't know how it plays out. But the best businesses acknowledge they don't want to replicate what happened the last 50 years in the auto industry. This is businesses in every sector. So they're going to service models, down to monthly recurring payment models, anything they can do to get away from that thought. Think back to all the companies, I would say think back to all the companies that benefited from the mass adoption of building that lifestyle out. And all of them won the land grab created by the suburbanization, where they positioned. A lot of people say you don't invest in McDonald's because of McDonald's, you invest in McDonald's because of the real estate they bought. I was at a Fed meeting when they first announced Amazon bought Whole Foods. We were in a call with them, and they said someone had said, Bezos was like, hey, if it works, it works. But I love the location of the Whole Foods for the last mile. If they got to make them DC, if they got to make them small distribution centers, that last mile could be critical. It's thinking similarly on the real estate side. I think that's going to happen in the food space. I think you're seeing a lot of people positioned for the last mile. As you heard on the trucking, a lot of people coming in, unhooking, and then going to A, B, C, and D locations. Shorter routes, shorter runs with the smaller trucks. I think that's going to happen. Positioning for the last mile in some of these warehouses. I've talked a lot about this. I told you I was on the phone with Crow Brothers and them, and they were saying they were retooling a bunch of warehouses and went into some strip centers early. And we're going to make those drop spots. And they failed to think about what would happen regulation-wise. So they pop them in. They got blown up by neighborhoods because the strip malls were kind of located down around in some neighborhoods. And you got trucks coming in 2, 3 in the morning, boom, city went nuts, throwing all kinds of rules and regs on them. So you got to be careful if you're going to invest in that space. Think about where you're at, proximity to the highway. If you're going to get any blowback from the cities, I think you have to really look into that as you transition some of your buildings or you look to make investments. Some of the farm grounds that's on the highways may end up being insanely valuable in some areas and locations. So I think it could be very interesting. I think the food distribution is going to be huge. I think there's millions of studies out here. I'm not going to bore you with studies. You waste more than a third of our food supply in grain and improvement of distribution far outweighs the improvement in modification of supply. That's why I think there's going to be this land grab to re-maneuver where things are positioned. So when I see new people like Benson buying a crush facility there, I'm like, I like that. I want to be kind of close to that. Or if I see new things happening with CGB buying something there, and it's something for the future, I think I like that play. So I told you before, we're looking to buy ground. We buy ground, trying to buy ground. I give you all my tips. I don't know if they're worth it. I like buying ground, I told you, along the power plants. Because most of the big solar contracts I've seen written in solar rents, power plants buying the solar during peak periods, they're bumping it back over to the plant, to the electrical plant. So in our area, here in this land, when Aquila or the bigger power plants would go in, the whole town would go nuts. Bitch fit, that ground next to that plant, hell, you couldn't get much for it. Nobody wanted to live by the power plant. You know, don't live by the power plant. Get the ground or get a lease on the ground. Go to the solar people. If you're in the proximity and the right proximity to the sun and the grid, I think there's a huge play problem. Possibly. The lower C grade ground, I've told you guys this all along. I had some guys blow back a lot early with me on this. Would I rather buy A or C grade ground? I personally like C grade ground. But I'm buying ground to leave to my kids and their kids, and it's going to be tied up in a trust. So my thought is, C grade ground is going to get the biggest benefit of technology. All the Gates, Buffett, Soros money. It's going to grow grain and crops on crappy soil around the world. Not really. I love the Iowa and the Illinois soil. I think it's awesome. If you're looking for a technological bump from technology 30 years out, I'd probably be more into the C grade, just from my perspective. I think it's a safer play. I think they're trying to find crops and things that will grow with way less water. So if you got guys that are saying, hey, this area is done, there's just no water, and they're going to sell it cheap, I guess cheap is all relevant, but less expensive than some places, I like those plays. And I think there's a lot happening with the, like Mitchell and then we're talking with the underground soil mapping and monitoring where we may be able to change a lot of cash crops that we're growing on some of that C grade ground. So I just see there's being maybe a little better bang for the buck. Like it said here, consider close to 85% of the cost of the tomato will be attributed to transportation and storage. I mean, I think that's nuts. I think there's going to be people come in who are experts at logistics and use AI to shift the logistics model to create just a much better streamlined process and take all that juice out. And I think that's where you want to try to position yourself if you can, get with the right people, network with the right people, and see where some of those things are trying to pop in. And, I think there's opportunities. Farmland, I think I told you we're making our push into farm ground. We're going to try and help people make better buying decisions. I'm going to let you guys use the same tools I'm using, use the same network I'm using, and, if we can help you, I think that's great. I always ask the crowd, everybody in the crowd when I go talk, prices, farm ground's either too high or it's too low. Most of the time, it's way too high, way too high, way too high. And I say, well, who's interested in the room and buying more farm ground? And I could ask you, but you guys are tired, so I won't. And I guarantee you're all thinking, yeah, shit, I'm interested in buying a little farm ground. That sounds like a good idea. I'd really like to buy some farm ground. And then I say, who's willing to sell your farm ground at that same fair price? Whoop, no, I ain't interested in that. I'm good on that one. Well, there's the bubble again. I don't think we're in a bubble. Not a lot of sellers. I mean, everyone's thinking the same. So I think there's going to be big opportunities moving forward in the farm ground. Like I said, I think location. I hate to sound like the average real estate guy, but it is really going to matter, and it's going to be important. I think from the food distribution side, fuel distribution side, what Walter talks, those things are going to be important. I think there's going to be a lot of us that are industrial farmers, I call it. We're going to be farming fuel and feed. And then there's going to be food farmers. But that's how I see it playing out. And a lot of the food farmers, I think there's going to be a lot of closed loop models like Benson Hill talked. They're going to close that loop down, and you're either going to be a food farmer, like Steve McCaskill and some of these guys, or you're not going to be a food farmer. And then the others will be more industrial type, like the aviation fuel, the biodiesels, some of the crush, the bean oils. I think that'll be that play. And that'll dictate how you want to set or grow your operation and investment standpoint, infrastructure-wise. If you're a food person, you're obviously going to have to be closer to the urban areas, and you're going to have to be a little more strategic. That last mile is what's chewing everyone up. That's what's killing people. And that's the tricky part. Industrial side, like I said, you're going to have to go more at scale. You're going to have to be a low-cost producer and get larger and bigger. Food side, you may get smaller, more efficient, make more money. Just different models. I think there'll be massive. I've made some good investment. I think I own, right currently today, I think I've owned Carrier stock since it IPO'd. Owned some Honeywell stock on the break. I think there's going to be big plays. And the reason I say that is because billions and billions and probably trillions of dollars have been spent and poured into this COVID. And not just COVID. It started when you had Ebola, SARS, MERS. I mean, you guys are saying SARS, MERS, COVID, all in the same family, right? All in the same family. We could go on this whole vax story, I mean, it didn't just come out and invent this today. They had a vaccine for SARS. They had a vaccine. It's in the same family. They had to tweak a couple of things. It wasn't any major hurdle here. So I think as more and more money has been poured into those areas, they're going to find viruses. We're going to hear a new virus every other day, it seems like. And I suspect that continues that trend because everything's been set up to find them. Well, hell, those people aren't just going to disappear and go away. They're just not going to just scrap their millions and millions of dollars. They're going to find viruses. And the media's going to report it because it makes big time media. So we're seeing a lot of shift in HVAC business, ventilation-wise, testing, air quality. Jordan asked, Dad, what business would you go in right now? I said, I'd go in the air business. This is water. This is water before water became more expensive than gas. I told you guys when I was at Casey's like 3 years ago, going out to speak somewhere, and I pull over. Shit, I think I paid more for a bottle of water than I was for a gallon of gas in the car, in the truck. And I'm like, man, times are crazy. I mean, hell, I'll let the water run out the house all the time when we were kids, and water's nothing. Now everybody's paying $3 for a bottle of water. Well, you watch where air goes and air quality. More kids have asthma, or there's more people that can detect your kid has asthma, or some type of crazy breathing problem, or some allergy to something. Hell, if they'd have had that when we were kids, I'd have probably been allergic to everything. I'd have had ADD, DD, I'd have had anything you could name probably. So my parents never took me to the doctor. It's like, hell, you'll figure it out. I mean, that's what we did. So I'm saying I think as money pours into these things to detect them, air being one, I think there's going to be big money because they're going to monetize it. I would look and pay attention to that industry. I think there's huge money in the storage of energy. So, about 60% of electricity demand is you simply trying to get electricity from plant to the home. How that plays out is going to be the big key. Everyone asks, oh, hey, you were really early in Tesla. Well, I just basically followed Ron Barron. Ron Barron was the biggest shareholder at GM. He had some plays and moves early into Tesla. I told you guys this. Any call I was ever on, Ron was on, it was, we're only buying Tesla for one deal, energy play. And when people and car analysts would come on CNBC or come on somewhere and say, this is bullshit, this company makes carbon, they got no cars, and no one cared about cars in the early investing world. We all cared about energy and the storage of energy. And what Musk was doing with an open platform was shared learning and shared AI, where he was allowing people to jump on in groups like we talked about, share their knowledge on his platform, and understand better about batteries, battery life, energy, $1 billion in carbon credits. So if you say, I'm going to go throw my money on Rivian and Ford and GM, because they're going to be the next, they're going to be Tesla. No. I'm not betting on cars. The utility of the car hasn't changed in 100 years. Point A to point B, still the same utility. No utility change. I'm not invest. Oh yeah, I mean these guys are real. They're really changing the world. No. It's not about the car. It's about the battery. It's about electricity, the storage of the energy. There's where your play is, not the car. So I'm hesitant. Ford's had a hell of a nice run, and so is some of the others. I'm personally not in them. I'm still in Tesla. We reduced the position quite a bit on the big run up, but we're still in. As an energy play. Here's your thought. This, we call it center of gravity in tech, will last about 15 years. Go back and look at the iPhone. I think Jobs announced it like this time, 07. So you're right at 15 years. That's why everybody's on Apple about can they innovate, what's next? Because we know we're about saturated globally on the iPhone. So what's next? I don't know. I mean, are they going to make the push into the vehicles? The reason they like the vehicle play is because everyone knows they're going to go autonomous, and either Google's going to with Waymo, Apple, and if they're autonomous, self-driving, the fleet of 10,000 driving around Kansas City, all autonomous, that Apple owns your time for those 20 minutes that you're in that car. So if there's just fleets buzzing around and you jump in one, they got a captured audience for that 20. That's the play. That's what they're trying to get. Now, I don't know if Apple will continue to chase that or they won't. I've heard kind of both sides. 1 minute they're getting out of the space, 1 minute they're back in. I don't really know. So you ask what's next. We like the metaverse space. Cryptocurrencies, NFTs. The metaverse is nuts. I think we'd be early. We had Roblox off the open. I'm trying to talk my daughter into doing architect for the fake world. I mean, I'm baffled. People are paying more for a fake Gucci purse than they are a real Gucci purse. Do you understand this? They're paying more for fake Nikes. Understand, in the fake world, fake money, but it's real money because it's in Bitcoins and crazy cryptos. But I think this, you guys tell me, I really think this. I tell my kids this all the time. I said, I think people would rather live in the fake world than this world. I could be skinny and have a shitload of hair in the fake world. That might be cool. That might be something. I could roll around, buy some cool Nikes. I don't know. I think though maybe, I mean, kids don't ever get off the phone, off their computer. I mean, I don't know. I feel like something's happened with self-esteem. The kid, I don't know if they'd rather, it feels like they'd rather be in that space. So we tried to go out and buy virtual land. It's for sale. I'm like, shit, I'm on this. This stuff's got to be dirt cheap. Like, no dummies out buying virtual land, right? I can just, I'll be like Christopher Columbus. Shit, I'll own half of North America before you know it. No. Little bitty chunk of ground in New York. Sold for like $3 million the other day. A little sliver. Oh, you can own, my daughter's, down there. It's like, oh, you can own this in the Upper West Side. $5 million. I'm like, whoa. Big boy ain't early to no games. I'm out on the fake ground in the fake world with my real money. I'm like, no. So I told my daughter, I said, hell though, you can pull this off, Kenny. I'm like, you got this, babe. I'm like, we used to do developing, and multifamily, single family. I said, babe, seriously, we can develop the shit out of this fake ground for these people. I'm like, you draw up fake buildings, just real crazy cool. They don't even have to be structurally correct. They can be awesome. We create a rodeo drive for these people. I'm not lying. It's already being created. There are already people creating a rodeo drive, and they're leasing it to Louis Vuitton, Chanel, all the big ones, and they're buying it in the fake world, paying fake leases, big money. I'm like, whoa. So I'm a little late to the party, but I tell my daughter, I'm like, you're up there at Columbia with all these brainiac people. I'm like, surely you can get in and sniff around somebody. It's like going into this space, and you just piggyback along, kind of be the artsy person, do some design. So that's kind of where we're at. She's gotten accepted to do some NFT stuff. The panel after this will get deeper into that. Man, I don't even know what's going on there. Jordan's opening, hey, Dad, you want some packs of baseball cards and basketball cards that are NFTs? I'm like, yeah, sure, man, shoot me some over. What do I do? Well, that's no fun. I'm opening fake packs on my phone, looking at fake cards that I can't touch, no bubble gum inside like when we were kids. I'm like, this shit ain't any fun. What do I do with this? Oh, you show your buddies. Oh, yeah. Hey, man. Hey, look at this fake card I got, guys. Isn't this cool? I could just take a screenshot of that, right? Put it on my phone. I'm like, how's that cool? That's not cool. I want a real 52 mantle in my pocket right here at home. I don't want to show a guy like, hey, this is on. But I'm old, so I don't know. I'm telling you, it's crazy what's going to happen moving down the pipe. But we're in the space. The kids are pulling me into space, and I'm kind of letting them and giving them some money to get banged up. So we've hit some decent. We've lost some. I mean, it goes both ways. Nothing huge. So it has been fun. But I had a tip a long time ago. It's like, so we were long NVIDIA for a long time. And there's only one reason I got long NVIDIA. So I'd get data on who's hires the top engineers. Each year I get the data, right? And I'm like, and I'm watching NVIDIA just move up the ranks 8 years ago, maybe a little more than that. Boom, NVIDIA was tops for like 4 or 5 years. And it's just follow the world's best engineers. And you can get the data. I mean, hell, I could probably send it and throw it in the report. But it kept me in NVIDIA for a long time because I was just like, man, if I had the world's best engineers, I could really do some crazy stuff. You know, you could do some cool stuff. And you got to think, where are these kids wanting to go work? Mostly now, most of your biggest engineers you're seeing peel out going to the crypto space. We're long Coinbase. I think longer term, it's probably a play, you know. I think they're going to do some things in the NFT space. I think they're going to really hammer and print some money as they've opened up to more, the platform a lot wider. They could run into some complications from the government as we see more regulations. But I think that's what you look at. Where are the other top engineers going? Wind, solar, robotics, climate change, and food innovations. This food one's big. This had never been on the list. I'd never seen it on the list 5 years ago. So you're getting a lot of big, smart people now moving into food innovations. It worries me how fast things will probably start progressing and changing. Because that's these kids, you know, that's what they want to do. And that's their mission. So we're deeply intrigued by that. We think we could have an edge. So in investments, Andy and I'll tell you, it's like, you feel you got an edge? No, I don't feel I have any edge. I'm out. If I don't think I got a little bit of an edge, I'm out. I would like to see food innovation be one because I think I can get an edge. I can call my good friend Steve McCaskill. I can call up some of the other folks that are growing, and I say, hey, Paul, what's happening here? What's happening out in your neck of the woods? Where are we at on this? What's really happening? And I can get good intel. And with that intel, I can make better decisions. So I hope we see more pour into this sector. I think it'll be good opportunities because it's right in our wheelhouse, everyone in the room. And I think that's more your sweet spot. You might have an edge in that area. Most innovation and disruption. I said this. I got in an argument last night about it. I just keep getting it hammered to me. On every early investment I've made that I get hammered on, that's usually I'm wrong place, or wrong product market fit, really is what it is. And I challenge everyone that's starting a business, you got to be right. You got to be right, the product market fit. You got to know where you fit in the customer continuum. And if you can't articulate it, you can't spell it out simply to a second grader. Second graders got to understand it, guys. Or your idea isn't going to fly. Because it's got to go able to go to scale and to the masses. It's got to be, too many people want to get too high end with things. And it's really tough. The Amazon story. This is Jeff Bezos, Princeton grad. Graduates top in his class, valedictorian. This guy ain't a dummy. Leaves a Wall Street job, prestigious Wall Street job, treks all the way across the country to sell books out of his garage because his wife has a degree in English and she's a real book nut. They're like, what the hell are you doing? You're selling books. What, are you an idiot? You can't be just selling books. That's a dummy deal. You sell books? That's like, Jordan, you sell hats? Yeah, I want to be the guy that just sells hats and rings the bell for $8 billion on an exit. I like that. I'd like that play. Or I just sell books, turn it into the richest man in the world. So you have to look at where you're entering at. And like I say, genuine disruption always most often starts at the low price, free product. When Andy comes up, we'll talk to you. I'm excited about a company he's investing in called Bamboo. They're going to the underserved, the low end. I like where they're coming in because I know what they can do as they move forward because of their entry. I hate companies that come in the wrong spot. Like I said, you're going to spend millions trying to get back downstream. If you look at Airbnb, I'm going to give you an easy example. Airbnb. Do you think Hyatt or Marriott gave two shits about Airbnb when kids were selling air mattress space in the living room and giving them a bag of Cheetos? No. Who cares what they're doing? They're idiots. Some guy selling some air mattress out in San Francisco with eating some cereal. We don't worry about them. They're dummies. Yeah. Ask Marriott and Hyatt how they feel about the dummies today. They always come in where the big boys don't care and then work their way up the channel. Not here and go backwards. So it's a business lesson. I told you guys think Honda is an easy one. How'd Honda blow up and kick our asses in America with the cars? Because they were little guys. We all rode bikes. What Harley about go out of business because of? We all started riding Honda dirt bikes and crap when we were kids, and they were selling the shit out of scooters. And all of a sudden, oil crisis hits. What do? 40 mile an hour, little trinkety cars. We're all out here like, we wouldn't drive that crap. Okay, come in, underserved area, nobody cares about. GM, Ford, nobody cares because there ain't any margin in that. Next thing, they're in space. Next thing, they do a good job in the space. Oh, wow, they start selling Lexuses. Unbelievable, Lexus becomes the biggest, best-selling high-end car in America. You see the trend? Underserved, low end. That's the entry. Work your way up channel. You have to get this ingrained. I didn't get these business lessons until I got smoked about 50 times and happened to meet the right CEOs that taught me a lot of these things. So I certainly didn't know any of this. So if you think, wow, I don't know any of that. Shit, I didn't either. I'm just trying to save you some money. I'm your friend. I'm just saying, hey, heed my warning. Oh man, it looks cool. It sounds really important and really high end. Run like hell. We'd always say, my money and that guy's experience is soon going to become my experience and that guy's money. You got that? I get a real good learning experience out of those. Nothing happened, but I was going around telling people I'm in some really cool deal. I don't even know how the hell to explain it. Hey, what do you guys do? Shit, I don't know. It's way over my head. It's cool. That money's gone. They're gone. Because I can't get the business model, can't get right. So be careful on that one. Don't listen to your clients. Number 2, 3, whatever you want it. Put it 1. They'll get you smoked. Shot. Doc Holliday style. It's like the last time I went and talked to a conference, the guy said, hey, what do we got to do to get you on our board? I'm on too many boards right now. I don't have time. I mean, honestly, I love to help people out, but it's like, what do we got to do to get you on the board? Michelle, I said, whoa, he said, we'll take you out for a few drinks. He says, what would you tell us to do different? This is in the grain business. I said, well, you wouldn't probably like it. He said, well, our clients are telling me. I said, Do not do what your clients are telling you to do, your customers. Because all they want is faster and cheaper. Promise you, hey, come spray it today. Can you spray it within 1 hour when I call you? Hey, can you get my inputs cheaper? Hey, ask Soren how it is. Oh, now, just faster, cheaper. Ask any seal. They want faster, cheaper. That won't fly. You'll be out of business. If you better have some serious game to compete over there. So you got to get past better sameness. That's just better sameness. I'm going to do a little better than this guy over here. We're going to get faster and cheaper. I don't like that plan. That is not the plan I want to be a part of. So I struggle with that moving forward. That's where I say, you got to know your customer continuum. You just look at it as light users, heavy users. We've talked about it before. You got to figure out where you're positioned in that channel. That way you can make an accurate plan, and you can start to build intel to go to that person you really need and really make something happen. It's important, and you got to make sure your CEOs that you're investing in and your leadership team, they have that plan. And if they don't have the plan, get the hell out of the room. Seriously. If they don't have a plan, you got to go. That's your magic question. Where are we at? Where are we coming in at? Where are we traveling upstream? How are we getting there? When I hear someone that don't have those plans, those ideas, that's just an idea. That ain't nothing. You got to have the intel to build around the idea. And so that's why you have to know the data. We all talk about knowing your data. Well, you better know it when you're starting a business and going to put real money to work in a business. I would say one thing we've learned the last few years, I hired some wackos a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, kind of the weirdest people I could find. I'm not lying to you. Because I said, I got to find something. Daddy, he knows it too. I got to figure out to do something different, man. I wanted people that had no idea about the ag space. So they could bring in from their industries something I'd never seen or thought of. And they did, but hell, I was getting old. Hell, you can only get so many ideas. But it was interesting. But I think you should have that in your business or on your farm. Delegate one of the kids. Hey, you're our innovator. I want you to be the trier of new things. I've seen that with Ormiston's. Rocky, tip my hat. Seems like you're always trying something new, trying to do something different, and you and your dad, and cool stuff happens, right? So look at the new stuff you guys got going now. So I think you got to be doing that. And that has to be a part of your business plan, though. And just pencil it in somewhere. And just know, I'm going to throw this X many dollars a year at it. Hell, 1 out of 20 might hit. That's about all. But it'll keep you out there ahead. It'll keep you learning. It'll keep you like Steve McCaslin, keep you in the network, keep you growing, introducing, meeting new people, trying to be innovative. I would put it in a plan. We've done this one before. I don't even need to go with it. I always look for any business that's in the upper right. I've said before, high value, low uniqueness, if you're wanting to know. That's tires. I used to have tire company. We did tire business. Well, hell, it's all about the turn, right? It's like Dick's Sporting Goods, try and turn the inventory 8 times a year. It's all about the turn. High value, not unique. Do I need tires on my car? Yes, it'll kill my family if I don't have good ones. That's high value. Is it unique? No, not unique at all. That's that space. So if you feel you're in that space, you got to be low-cost provider. And you got to pay attention, and you got to go with a team, and a leadership team that is going to do that. No value, high uniqueness. Like I said, you got no longevity there. It's just crazily unique, but not real value. And the reason I talk value, guys, is this. People buy value, not price. When I hear someone say, oh, the price was too high. Oh, crap. Nobody buys price. If I put a laser disc in Walmart when you walk in, the shitty ones that no one uses anymore, whatever, and I put them for 5 cents, you wouldn't buy them. You don't do anything with them. Crap. So it's not price, it's value. Now, if you thought, hey, these might be worth something in 10 years, now I'm going to buy this whole rack. Well, you bought it because of value. You saw value in that. So they don't buy price, they buy value. And that's what I'm trying to say to you. If you don't have any value, but it's highly unique, probably won't sell it anyway. So Apple lives in the upper right corner. They try to. First, 10,000 songs in your pocket. That was the iPod. And what is it? High value, high unique. I can carry around 10,000 songs in my pocket. It's unique. It's got value. In that corner, you can make heavy gross. And you can make some money. So you try to get there. I've seen a lot of low gross companies make lots and lots of money. It's just a little more difficult game in your bottom right. So you just segregate them out, use that in your head when you're thinking about your investment, or if you're going to invest with your buddy, or he's got an idea because you've got money and he's got an idea. That's the recipe, right? You got some money, your buddy's got an idea. Here we go. So test them out a little bit. I think we've learned our brand is our promise you make. And you have to find common ground. We hit on it earlier. I felt years ago, my thought was my common ground for my business and the things I do in agriculture investing isn't anything but family. That was my common ground. I love my family. You guys love your family. We're good. I don't have to get any more complicated than that. I'll do whatever I can to help your family, and I know you guys have been more than open-hearted to help mine. So that's the common ground, guys. People in the ag space, that's your common ground. You better do things for the family. You better come up with ideas and things that mean something. You're probably not going to compete on the low-cost provider side. You're going to have to compete where you can find common ground. You're going to have to get back to some of the basics and be those people. You get outside of this space, you got to find common ground. I always loved like getting outside the space. So Shep Gordon was, like I said on it, Alice Cooper, Pink Floyd, he did all of them. Shep's story is wonderful. I heard him speak 2 times. But I love how he blew Alice Cooper up. I played golf with Alice Cooper 3 different times. Played golf with Jerry Garcia 3 times, Evel Knievel 3 times. So I played golf with some weird people. And Cooper, I was always like, man, how did he blow him up? And Shep said he found common ground in that kids who are at an age that hated their parents. He's like, man, these kids just want to do anything their parents don't want them to do. So Shep found billboards where a lot of women shopped, and he ran ads on radio stations where moms listened to it. Not where the kids listened to it, the radio stations the moms listened to and where the moms shopped. He put a picture like Alice Cooper with a big python snake right outside like a Louis Vuitton store. What do you think mom's thinking? That's the last concert my kid's going to. My kid will not be at an Alice Cooper concert. Well, shit, all he had to do is get that amped up for about a year, and every kid in America was wanting to go to an Alice Cooper concert because that was pissing mom and dad off. So, I mean, that was the kind of the common ground theme, but you got to think about that in your business. Just find that common ground that you see, and I think it's interesting to hear how some of them play out. But this one's hit home a lot for us lately. You got to find out where the disconnect is. And, whoa, lots of disconnects, lots of places. I always tell a story. It's the Henry Ford story. You guys have heard it. Ford went to a lot of CEOs. They were moving a lot of things by horse and carriage, buggies, ice companies, everything else. He said, shit, I'm going to come out with this truck. I'm going to invent a truck. You guys ain't going to have to use a horse anymore. This is going to make your logistics so much easier. He goes to the CEO, gives them the whole spiel, how much money they're going to save, how much more efficient, how much faster, blah, blah, blah. CEO says, I love the idea. Awesome. Ford says, what do we got to do next? Go talk to the guy that runs my logistics. He's out in the horse barn. Bingo. Deal's off. Horse barn guy ain't going for that at all. Horse barn guy thinks he's nuts. Ain't happening. There's the disconnect. Here's the micronutrient story. Here's my favorite. Hey, you want to reorder? You guys reordering any organics this year or anything? Or nah, probably not. What happened? Shit, my hired mans don't like it. Really? Yeah, I clogged up the sprayer a little bit. Pain in the ass to work with, kind of. They don't want to mess with it. Okay. It's interesting. I like hearing the comments on why it didn't work. What happened? Most of the dislocation comes from the hired hands that are working the farm. Well, you just sent the damn product right to the horse barn. He ain't gonna like the truck. He sure in hell ain't gonna like the micro. You're just asking the guy to change his whole life around. He ain't gonna like it. People don't like change, especially guys that work for you. They don't like change. They're gonna be your biggest one bucking and screaming. So you better find out where your dislocation is at within your business and try things to see what happens. I mean, you'll find it easily. I mean, you can find it real quick and easy. We see it all the time on the swag space, and I love it. We'll talk to a CEO. I love the swag. I need some hats like you guys have, or jackets, Perfect. You need to talk to my girl. I just hired out of college. She organizes my parties and our event planning. Well, they gave her a $300 budget, and she's trying to get the most stuff for the least amount of money, and she orders a couple of calendars and squeezy balls. And I take them when I get in my pickup truck, and I throw them in the back seat, and the dog might grab them, and I throw them in the trash. CEO doesn't know that. You don't know any of that. It just happened. It's who you're giving the task to is going to smoke you. And find where your dislocations are. And it's easy. You'll find them. But you got to be looking. So that's all I'm saying. It's a good reminder. You know, overall investment, what about inflation? We'll talk about it on our groups. Inflation, interest rates. I say, and this is my argument, you know, Andy and I argue a lot on this one and some of the other guys. I say everything in the world changed when we dropped the atomic bomb, all right? Game changed. You seen any more world wars? Everyone thought we were going to have all kinds of world wars. No world wars. That genie came out of the bottle and everything changed. Everything changed. Shit, we were getting amped up. We were fighting wars and world wars like wildfire. That changed. Once that genie comes out of the bottle, history can move and change going forward. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, oh no, look back. No. In 08, when the Fed did what they did with QE and the other global central banks did what they did, that was an atomic bomb. That changed. That changed the way the world operated. We just went 40x on M2, money flow, on this last go-around. We pumped more money in than anybody's ever thought fathomably see possible. We wonder why the stock market's at all-time highs. We wonder why prices have gone mad nuts. What's going to happen with the debt? What's going to happen? No. I don't see it. I think that genie came out of the bottle and the whole thing changed. You can't look back to 1970s now and compare. Once we dropped the bomb, you can't look back and say, oh, this is how world wars happened. Oh, no. Atomic bomb stopped all that theorizing. That's not how the world's played out anymore. Now it's more monetary, political, sanctions. It's done financially. The warfare has changed to some degree. I'd be careful using what's happened now with the current Fed with past what happened with gold or hyperinflation or things of that nature. Talked about this the other day. Old economy, new economy. I believe you have inflation in the old economy. The new economy, which is chips, like I said, chips, IT, cloud computing, all those things, I think you're going to have deflation. It's just my theory. I think this is interesting. I think you folks will like this. We were on a call, and a guy starts bringing up all this stuff about World War II. I was interested because my grandpa was in World War II, he was in the Air Force. I thought it'd be interesting to compare how it played out. In 1945, he had 11% of the U.S. population at war. Think about that. 11% overseas at war. Men, America. That's a massive amount of the population. When we win the war, everyone's just basically, there's no way this is going to work. We had transitioned all the businesses into creating manufacturing things for the war, right? Well, they're all going to shut down. Shit. What's everyone going to do? There's going to be no jobs. We got all these millions of men coming home. We got these men coming home. There's going to be no jobs. Where in the hell are they going to go to work? We were just out of the Great Depression. Where's everyone going to go? This is what we're saying now. You know, this is after COVID. Everyone's shut down. Low rates was the first thing that happened. They kept the economy afloat. The war was to keep interest rates low. It wasn't an easy decision. Why wasn't it an easy decision to keep rates low? Because inflation was ripping off the chain. Because you had all these people coming back home. You had this massive burst of inflation when the soldiers came back. It came home to a shortage of everything. Feel like the situation we're in, kind of. I'm just saying, kind of similar. We come out of this craziness. We got shortages everywhere. Oh my gosh. This is going to be crazy. Markets are going to crash. This is horrible. Who is the demographics? You understand the size. They institute the GI Bill, allows people to buy homes at a cheap price, or I should say a cheap interest rate. You get a massive boom in housing. I think we're going to have a massive boom in housing. I don't see housing in a bubble. I think you're going to have a massive boom. You got way too much demand, not near enough supply. I know this space because I've gotten smoked in this space. There's not a lot of banks that are loaning for big, heavy spec housing like there was back in 07, 08. I had buddies that had 300, 400 spec houses. So there's guys now lucky have 30, 40 spec houses, maybe 20. The bank ain't loaning. So you got no supply side and a ton of millennials that are wanting to buy homes. I think it pops. I think this is when you first had credit cards come into play, started a big wave of consumer spending. Look at the pictures, McDonald's, Holiday Inn, the land grab took place. You had the TV come in. You had a massive push in all this new technology, and off to the races we went. The average wages doubled from 40 to 48. So everyone that's crying is like, oh my God, these wages are going to keep going up. Labor, where's everyone going to go? Inflation. It's the same scenario. Then doubled again by 63. Household debt increased 5x. 5x, 47 to 57. What do you think the market did? Hell of a few years, I'll promise you that. Auto, TV sales skyrocket, fast food, hotels, entertainment. It was world changing the moment it happened. Everyone thought the sky was falling, running for cover. Oh shit. I wasn't, yeah. Be careful right here at this period. Be careful. Flip the switch. That should have been behind my genie in the bottle slide. Pick the business, guys. Who is it? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Ferris? Anyone home? Fed. That's the Fed. That's the one, Fed. Crazy. Yeah, that's the money they return to the Treasury every year. Biggest contributor to the Treasury of anyone. Damn near a couple of years, damn near contributed more than taxpayer. That's the money they make. That's their profit. What the hell? I mean, you guys get it? They make money. They buy things low, sell things higher. Massive profits pumped back in. That's their job. I talked to Esther George at the Fed. I've talked to other people, lots of different people. Saul McClevey here. I would suspect he's the chairman of the board, because some people said, why the hell would he be the chairman of the board? Just a wild hunch. I bet he's got a little edge in that crypto space for him. I bet he's got a little insight into all that crypto from the Cash App that they have and other things. So I'm sure they have him strategically for a reason. But I'm just saying, it's interesting to see the Fed make that kind of money. Talk about debt. Well, it's on the serviceable amount. If you have $5 trillion at 7% versus $30 trillion at 1%, so what? Same. $5 trillion is more serviceable debt than $30 trillion. If it's at 7 versus at 1, it's about the serviceable number. You got to be a little cautious there. Just like I said, that's that crazy genie that came out. And if the Fed's making that kind of money, and we're paying down that kind with the Treasury, and you're going at 1% or sub 1%, I mean, it's tough to say that it isn't, an interesting play. I think people get a little bit ahead of themselves on having incomplete information, is what I would argue. Government debt, U.S. dollar. I thought it was a funny tweet. It says U.S. dollar looks like you got it, cuss word coin, from a crypto perspective. Everybody, cryptos they're crazy. Well, look at the dollar. You got $27 trillion in circulation. Unlimited supply cap, only one node. 1% of shareholders own 30% of the dollars. I mean, if this ain't the wackiest crypto out there, I mean, I don't know what is, if you want to compare apples to apples. So, I think things are going to happen in that crypto space. I don't know how it plays out. I'm with Jim, speaker from yesterday. I don't know. Like I said, we have money in. We still have Bitcoin from, hell, we were talking, and we had purchased some Bitcoin 14, 15. And I remember putting in the report, I still have clips where we talked about it. If it breaks through $300, we were going to buy, and we bought a little. And then 17, we'd shed some off and bought some again. We own some Ethereum, some Solana, some Polkadot. I know, Polkadot. Is that not nuts? I'm buying Polkadot. It's crazy as hell to me. But it's just on play on the blockchain through Ethereum, different things that they're doing. So we can talk about that later, but it's funny. So Bitcoin comes out in 2010, $100 invested, 50 million. That's at a $40,000 valuation. Where are we trading today? 46,000 or something? $100 would be worth 50 million. That's just silly. That's silly talk. So I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. I told you we hired some kids who hit it big in Dogecoin and quit because they were going to be professional traders. I'm talking made some serious coin, big money. And they're hanging in there. I mean, I don't think any of them have done anything spectacular since, but it's interesting how it's changed a lot of lives, that's for sure. I bring up the same slide again because I think it's important. I think it's what people follow. Destiny of the world is, like I said, determined by the stories it loves and believes in. What about crude? My thoughts on crude, I'm going to hit a little bit of the worry button at 440. You get unleaded, average unleaded price up at 440. Traditionally, when the economy gets a big 40% bump in gas prices into their pocket, it hits consumer spending in a weird way and consumer psych. So my magic number is about 440. I see the average price of fuel at 440. I'm out of the stock market. I'm on the sideline. I'm just leery. I'm just worried what it'd do to consumer confidence because it's too quick a jump and too quick of a time period. So if it doesn't happen in the next 7-8 months, I probably wouldn't. If it happens real quick within a short time period, doesn't give a consumer time to adjust and things get a little squirrely on the Q1, Q2, or whatever earnings we may be. So be a little hesitant. Stock market, I can't say this enough. I always battle this because I trade different markets, right? So we're in the grain business. Supply and demand matters. The marketplace is like a scale. Supply, demand, supply. We think it's going to work. It's equal. Stock market doesn't work that way. That'll trip you up every time. So you look at a chart and you're like, shit, that thing's really high. It's surely going to pull back. No. What happens to old stocks? What happens to companies that go out of business? Those stocks go to die. Bye. They're off the books. I should have invested in indexes this last year. The indexes beat me. Honestly, I mean, the indexes were the way to go, but the indexes were driven by the big ones, and that was it. I mean, the bad stocks fall off the market. You understand this, right? 90% of all stocks have just gone off, fizzled off, and died. You're only left with the good ones, or at least the ones that are better than the ones that died. So you can't look at it as a balancing scale. At times it comes back around, like the traders will tell you, fundamentals come home to roost eventually. Stock market, though, most of the time acts like a voting booth. You know, you got to think about your investment that way. It's more like a voting booth. And you want to say to yourself, who are the people going to be voting for here, whether you agree or disagree? What stories are they going to follow and vote for in that voting booth? Not that balancing scale. You got to be careful there. That's like, oh, man, I'm going short Tesla because, oh, the books say that. The PE ratio, that's my favorite. The PE ratio is too high. What the hell are you talking about? Hell, Amazon's never traded at a reasonable PE ratio. Tesla's never traded at a reasonable PE. You're thinking crazy thoughts. It ain't ever gonna. Until it maybe starts to trade like a bond or treasury like Apple or something. Now it's gonna come down and trade at a normalized PE, but those growth stocks are more like voting booths, not scales. So just use that wisdom a little bit. The millennials are headed to the casino, there's no question. Shit, my kid's got nothing to lose. My dad used to say, it don't hurt very bad, you fall out of the basement window. You're right, Dad. Take some cuts. Take some full cuts down there. Shit, you're just rolling out of we had a not even a good basement window. I wouldn't even fit through the damn thing now. I mean, I was rolling out of that thing. So I'm just saying, the millennials are going to swing for the fences. So bet your dollar they're going for it. And they're going to look for the highest return, that's why the crypto went nuts. That's why the NFTs have gone nuts. They're looking for, hey, where can I take $100 and turn it into $50,000? Shit, they like that. Boom, let's bet it. What the hell? They're still in the basement. They don't care. They're still in mom and dad's basement, possibly. Probably ain't too bad, right? That probably ain't too bad. So, and we talked about why demographics matters. Millennials are between 24 and 41. Spending peaks at 46. Your oldest millennial this year is going to be 40, 41-ish. So stock market rips higher when we have an influx of workers that are between the ages of 35 and 49. What I just tell you, the millennials, the oldest one's 41. Look what happened when the boomers went through. That's the red dot to the red dot. That's 82 to 2000. Look what happened when the boomers were that age. Stock market went on a massive tear. Millennials are a little bigger than the boomers. Probably stay on a tear. You know? Sure don't feel it. You look at it and you're like, wow, that chart sure is high. I am short some NASDAQ the last week or two, which have been good. Just a short-term trade. But I'm longer term. I gotta be bullish, just like I said, because I don't see it as a scale. I see it as a voting booth. What has my attention? This. If our younger kids have Telegrams, Discord, pump and dump channels, digital wallets, NFTs, cryptos, how much money flow is that going to take out of the stock market? We only had one game in town. We only had stock market. Boy, when we went to electronic trading and we could RB minis over at the Merc, Daddy, we thought that was something, you know, and you could arb some E-minis against big minis, and man, there's electronic trading. Andy started the first electronic futures trading, and holy smokes, we're going to trade online. Remember that experience? Oh my goodness. That was nuts. But we thought that was really something. And now, kids have all kinds of places to place their bets at the casino. I'm a little worried about that because I just worry how that would play out and affect money flow into the stock market. So I'm keeping my eye on it. Definitely keeping my eye on it. So I'm going to get through the slide. Remember this, doom and gloom sells. Doom and gloom sells. That's what they want you to buy. Doom and gloom. It's easy. Get you scared, you buy the hell out of it. It's bearish case is always smarter than the bulls. We always used to say, if you were a bull, the people on the floor thought you were a cheerleader. I mean, it's like, they don't know nothing. They're just a bull. The kid doesn't know anything. Boy, the bears were the smart ones. So now Andy and I, we always talk, we're like, old bears and young bulls. That is on my wall. Old bears and young bulls. When we were young, we were the young bulls. Man, we thought .com. I was in the board of trade. I remember Kansas City Board of Trade yelling for Yahoo to go nuts. I'm like, Yahoo, I'm making money. One night I went out and bought a whole went and bought a hot tub, went and bought a bar. Michelle's like, what happened? I'm like, shit, I had a great day in the markets. Yahoo's going nuts. .com things going crazy. I was a young bull, just like these kids. Now, shit, I'm a grouchy old bear. I'm like, these kids are nuts. These kids are crazy. It's just the evolution of it. You know, I just think that's how we kind of evolve. Because I can't get my head around it. I want things to be like they used to be. I could play those cards better. So just be careful. I am a little leery of the NASDAQ. Look at that. 10 years, you added 7,000 points. Last 21 months, you added 10,000 points. Yeah, we're probably due for a little pullback of some sort, I would think, maybe. I tried to short it a few times, October, November, donated about 6 figures. Be careful. Hot stove. Then I got short some NASDAQs and some oats at one time. Oh, that was an interesting combo. Whoa. Learning experience. I told Mama, like, whoa, we just had another learning experience. She says, why in the hell are you trading oats again? I have no idea, because 3 knuckleheads in this audience called me and said, hey, oats just traded to all-time highs. Let's short some. Oh, yeah, that's a cool idea. Yeah, next thing, I'm in a trade, and I can't figure out how to get the hell out. I'm putting more on, like Andy said, moron trade. Just keep putting more on, right? Gone. Money gone. Call my daughter and say, pull out of school. We got no money to send. Bring her on home. New York was nice, babe. Yeah, why I'm not overly concerned on a lot of it, I just think there's more available jobs in the past 2 decades. Like I said, 40x more M2 money supply. That's just meaning more money in circulation. 40 times what we'd ever had. It's like, that's ludicrous. That's crazy talk. It's out there, though, guys. We've all seen it. We've seen the PPP money. We've seen the ABCD loan. I don't know even all the acronyms for all the loans that have gone through and gone out. It's crazy. So there's a lot of money in circulation. That's got to find a home. It's got to go somewhere to roost. Look at that. There's your chart. Annual growth, U.S. cash in circulation. Holy smokes. How's that pop? They wanted to make sure we didn't go down. I mean, we flooded her with cash. And if you read this, though, I want you to see this. Annual growth of the U.S. cash in circulation always peaks at the start of an economic cycle. The start, not the end, the start. So if we take this, we couple with what happened in World War II, and we saw the troops come out, we saw the inflation pop, we got huge M2, it's at the beginning of a cycle. I think we're at the beginning of a new cycle. I can't believe I'm saying this, because I'm supposed to be an old grouchy bear, right? The young kids are supposed to be up here saying that. But I think that's probably right. It's probably where we're at. The millennials are going to probably enjoy one hell of a run, changing things up. We can probably be old and grouchy and fight it and get crushed. You know, why were oats going ape shit crazy? Why was I getting smoked being short? Oh, because the kids really love those oats. That oat milk, boy, sure is healthy. Sure keeps my allergies down and keeps me feeling good. A lot more demand for oats. Okay, well, hell, I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking, who in the hell's buying all these oats? I mean, why the oat demand? I'm on the wrong side there for a while. So just big difference. Difference in thoughts gets you killed. So you got to be careful. Here's your S&P historical. Take a picture. Go home and study it. Look at the years I talked to you about. There's World War II, the first column, 42, 61. Oh, man, there were just some hellacious down years. Yeah, 3. Not many. Oh, look at 82. Look when the boomers went through. What'd I tell you? 82 to 99. Oh, man, really hellacious down years when those boomers went through. 1 year, you had a negative 6%. Guys, the S&P trades within 5% of its all-time highs 85% of the time throughout history. I mean, if you're not long, you're wrong. I mean, you're doom and gloom is selling you, and you're paying for it. And you're sitting there waiting to pick one of these down drops. Whoa, easy on that play. I don't know. I don't know about that one. So they're far and few between. You got to be careful when they come. I look at them as more as opportunities. I tell the kids the same thing. Have your buy list ready. I was an idiot on the COVID buy. I was an idiot on some of that. We talk a lot. Boy, I couldn't get in my head how we were going to get out of it and not really hammer the market because I felt like the market was right at all-time highs, right? So I'm like, shit, we're at all-time highs. All hell's breaking loose. I got to get out of some of these stocks. I did diversify, bought a few that ended up being good. But for the most part, I did not make, excuse my language, I didn't make shit for the money I should have made. Not even close. That run could have changed my family's life forever and ever. Wouldn't you think, Andy? Wouldn't you guys agree? We didn't hit that good of licks, did we? No. I just couldn't get there. So I said, probably should have my buy list. Day drop. I will tell you this. I think we're lofty. I'm probably buying every 5%. We get a 5% down day. I'm probably buying, and I'll probably buy each one of them with the buy list that I have. And that'll be how I'll play this year. I mean, see how it works out, but that's probably where I'll be. We'll talk next year and see how the hell it fared. We might be having this like out in a parking lot somewhere at the Walmart or something if it goes bad. I don't think we're in a bubble. Unemployment still has some room to improve. Labor force participation rate's still way too low. Corporate earnings are strong and improving. Guys, they trimmed a ton, just like Nutrient here trying to go to their digital platform, Disney going to a digital platform. They trimmed a ton of dead weight at COVID. And you know who mostly they trimmed? Who do you guys think? Young bulls at the big corporate offices. Who do you think they trimmed? The old fat bald guys. Gone. I did not want to come back to work to get COVID. I'm comfy. My 401k is at all-time highs. How about I just coast on off into the sunset a little early? 50, 55. Where do you think the dislocation was in most businesses? Oh, grouchy old fat white boy. He didn't want to do it different. That was the dislocation. They shedded him. Bye, see you. Take early retirement. Get the hell out of here. Young bulls are in play. Trimmed a lot of the fat. Margins look pretty good. Going to go a new direction. Probably have some pretty good rips coming up here in the future. Like I said, money supply is abundant. Be careful getting too bearish. History says bubbles are typically late cycle phenomena. I think, currently early part of an economic cycle, I think you got to be careful. Like I said, I think we're still early part with this big push of money. I think, labor market condition rates improve. I just told you this. I'm probably buying the 5% dips. My trading and investing rules. I went to one of those conferences. I'm not lying to you guys. You got to ask Michelle. I end up at a conference that Jordan gets me conned into going. I am holding hands with another adult male. I am on the West Coast. Take this. We are walking around the hotel outside, kumbayaing. I'm watching my wife from the pool area just laughing, like taking pictures like, this ain't really happening. I'm like, this can't be happening. I didn't do this in I wouldn't do anything this crazy in high school. Holding hands, walking around these people. Got me into all this journaling and all this other goofy stuff that I had never done in my life. But it did help me organize my thoughts. And so, like I said, it's all about how you manage your losers. I'm agreeing. Rule number one, I don't like to be very diversified, so I go against that grain. I think the biggest money's made, I mean, once you get to a certain level. So I don't really get real diversified. I try to hope, you know, be so right that you don't have to be diversified, right? I mean, that's the hopes. I don't know if it happens that much. But try to go no more than 10 stocks in a basket. Try to work that down to 5 stocks. Then I try to work down to 1 or 2 large positions. So that's what helped us with the bigger push into Tesla or some of those others. And I was just adding to winners, cutting the losers off, narrowing the number. Position sizing is important on the initial. So I go 10%. I may do 10% initial position sizing, work it into a 20, 25, 30%, maybe even get it to where it's 50% of my entire position or entire portfolio in stocks. That gets nuts. But it is what it is. You got to be willing to take risk. If you got a risk account that you set up, this is my account, I take a lot of risk in, well, then take risk. Hell, don't trade at tippy-toe. I mean, don't get over leveraged and lose the whole family farm, but you got to take some risk if that's your risk account. I only add the winners on up days or heavy volume days. I cut losers short. I try not to add length on any down days. I just won't add it. It saved me. Like on that Zillow catastrophe, I didn't buy in once on the drop. I mean, I was in it way early, but I wasn't cost averaging in. You know, the market can remain crazy way longer than we can remain solvent. So it's just one of my rules. I'd rather buy on the ups because just I don't know, it's just a rule. I've watched a lot of great traders and a lot of great people trade, and that's what I like. Try not to sell a winning position because of good behavior. This is tough. I don't like to punish a winning trade because it did what I thought it did and it performed really well. That's a tough one. A lot of times in my life, I've gotten out way too early. That's the hard, you know, I got out way too early, like way early. I'm like, man, this is crazy, but I probably shouldn't have, looking back on a lot of the different ones. Exit, sit tight, get it right. As we always say, the decision to do nothing is a decision. My position right now in corn would be do nothing. I like do nothing, but that is a real decision. Sometimes the best marketers in the room, the guys that hell didn't do anything. Just got there by chance. I mean, some of the other guys overthink it, overdo it. So a lot of times it's just sit tight, get it right. Most successful people tend to spend the majority of their time on opportunity, where most people spend the majority of their time on fixing problems. If you catch yourself fixing problems, you probably need to hire someone. You got to think about that really crystal clear. Your time as a leader or CEO, you got to be looking at opportunities. Opportunities are what make you money. If you're the guy putting out the fires or cleaning up the messes, you're probably in the wrong position. You got to hire someone to do that, make a little adjustment. And don't say yes to too many things. The most important decisions are often the no's, you know? I don't do bio. I just say I don't do a lot of biotech. In fact, Carter would want to kill me. I don't do any because I'm a story guy. Well, shit, there ain't a biotech story I don't love. Hey, we're going to do this new trial. It's going to save kids. Hey, we're going to do this new trial. It's going to save babies. Hey, it's going to do this. Shit, I want to invest in every one. I'm like, oh, man, this is awesome. I love this story. I want to tell my friends, I love this. I need to keep myself out for the majority of it. And I just got to know that about myself. So that's really it. Making money is vastly easier than keeping it. Keeping it can be tricky. Had money, been broke. Had money, been broke. Lots of experiences. So I'm just telling you, it can be tricky. And I think that's a good lesson for the kids. So I'm going to go back to the first panel. We'll start with the very first panel, then we'll go to this panel. Next, take a 15-minute break. We'll come back. We'll jump on that panel. Then we'll do the last one. We'll get out of here. I appreciate everyone. Thank you.